Okay, we're live.
Hey, Brian Young here from Creative Small Business Marketing. I'm here with Bob Young today. We're going to be talking about marketing and sales for the local brick and mortar small business. I feel like lots of business owners out there are running their businesses and they need help when it comes to marketing and to sales and e-commerce and data and analytics. And so my goal is to just support you guys, local small business owners, with sales and marketing and a business strategy as a whole. But I'm really excited to have Bob Young here. He has an extensive background in sales. And so again, what we're going to try to do is take his experience in sales and my experience in marketing and his experience in marketing too, and just give you some practical strategies and tactics that you can use in your local business to help get more customers, sell more product, serve your customers better. So I'll let Bob introduce himself and kind of give you a little bit of background on where he's at.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Brian. I appreciate it. I find this a lot of fun, very interesting challenge. But as you said, my mixed background has me for 5 years. I was a sales rep and I had 7 states and selling a product. And then that worked out well. And I moved into marketing for a while and then back to sales training and then a technical part too in the laboratory. I have kind of a scientific technical background. So I've kind of dabbled in all those. And what's really interesting is I've found a lot of connections between these. And so it's really, really fun to try to take this, which people normally wouldn't associate with this, and have it actually work. And so that's what we'll be trying.
That's good.
Get back to me, okay?
Right.
Yeah, and how it works.
Well, I that's good because we need some creativity. Because again, I think when it comes to local small business owners, they're oftentimes neglected when it comes to all the marketing help you can get there on the internet.
Right.
Like I've read all the books on marketing, and generally they're geared towards multinational companies, e-commerce companies, influencers trying to sell digital products. But what about just your good homegrown brick and mortar local business owners? So I think we will need some of that creativity.
Okay. Well, we can try it. And some of these ideas, are going to be person specific, and we can experiment with them and modify them. We want your input, your questions, because we can kind of mess with that also.
Yeah, if you're on the live stream and you have a question to answer, we'd love to get to you. If you're watching this later, just leave a comment and we'll either Bob or I will get back to you with an answer. But yeah, well, why don't we start off kind of off script a little bit and maybe just Bob, give your definition of what marketing is and what sales is.
Okay.
Basic level.
Okay. I would say the basic level is marketing is understanding the customers in general. And so I was telling Brian that one analogy might be stereotyping. You have some experience and you know that this type of person would like your type of product, or this type of person has something that will benefit them. Mm-hmm. And so what you do is you develop a marketing strategy for that type of person. So it's kind of like the big picture. These are the things we offer, and we think that you might be a person that can have benefit from that. Mm-hmm. And of course, the internet's doing a wonderful job of that. You buy something over here, and then a week later, you get all these ads for the thing that you bought because they're starting to connect things. This is that's kind of an example of marketing.
Sure.
But I look at sales as more connecting with the actual decision maker that's going to buy the product or not. Mm-hmm. And so that is taking the big marketing thing and focusing in on one aspect, the person that's in front of you right now, and confirming that person meets the needs of the things that you can offer.
Sure. So marketing is kind of like you're casting a wider net. Obviously there's still some, you're focusing on a particular demographic, but wider net. Sales is more intimate.
Or needed benefit, or needed service, or something like that. And so we're saying, okay, everybody, there's 1,000 of you out there. This, we believe, will affect some of you and help you out with some of your problems and issues.
So what would be an example? Can we give like a tangible example? Let's say somebody owns a local boutique clothing store in a small town. What's marketing? What's sales for their business? Okay,
so the person with the ownership and the manager of the business needs to figure out who they want to sell to. Mm-hmm. That is, and I don't remember like the individual, but the type of situation. What service or benefit can they bring? So for instance, let's say that the company is really good at having seasonal clothing, and they make it available in all sizes and shapes and forms. And so what I'd want to communicate is that if you come into my brick and mortar, the thing that differentiates me from the other places and even the big chains is that I'm going to have some unique, specific things for the season coming up.
So focusing on your kind of unique selling propositions,
right
that match up with your customers.
And
so the marketing would be for this. Maybe it's we're having a fall sale on sweaters at our boutique store. That's marketing. You send that out in direct mail, or you do digital marketing or some form of aspect. Trying to target your potential customers, and then the sales would be would the actual sales happen when customer is in the store and you're getting them to buy. One of your sales reps is talking to them. Is that kind of how you differentiate between?
Well, back up one step. So remember, everybody else is doing this too. Let's say we're talking Halloween things. Okay, so everybody's going to be talking Halloween things. So the challenge is going to be, why my brick and mortar store versus the person down the street or the big person over there? What advantage would there be for them to coming to see me?
Get them to come to you instead of
That's
the
right.
competition.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then it goes to what you were talking about is
Yeah.
connect with them when they come in. Is that what you said?
Or converting, on the sale. Once you get them, when you've cast the wide net, you got them to come to the store, or your business service, whatever type of business you run, and then sales happens at the moment of.
So the other part of this then is setting up a how you sell it plan. And so a potential customer comes in. What should the salespeople do? What should the manager do? And part of that is make a gentle connection, like, wow, what a nice day today, isn't it? Or, hey, thanks for coming in. We got some really exciting stuff. And you just kind of connect with them, give them a chance. Sorry. You could say, how's it going today? And then that gives them a chance to say, I am in a hurry. I got 10 seconds, or I'm just brainstorming for ideas. So then you can adjust what you're going to say, aligned with that.
Sure.
But then it's to go ahead and talk about, figure out what they need and how can you help them.
So you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I've read somewhere, and I have the book over there. It's Digital Marketing for Dummies, and there's a section on sales in there, and it says that there's both an art and a science to selling. And is that a statement that you would generally agree with?
Yeah, I would maybe say the word art has a lot of meanings. That's kind of challenging, but definitely a science part, and definitely a person specific part, and art has some good implications, because it has to be something that's attractive and engaging and will get them to think about it a little bit and decide.
Sure.
So I'd say, let's go with art and science.
Okay. Well, even from the aspect of there's lots of emotional kind of feelings associated with your business. And if you have those down, whether it's the comfortability of the person, the receptionist, or the person that's running the store when potential customers come in. But there's also a very rational aspect, kind of more strategic aspect to selling. And they'd say that's probably the science. So that's how the store is laid out, or if you have high margin impulse purchases at the register, how that affects revenue. Like there's kind of calculated things you can do to encourage the sale, kind of from a rational standpoint. But then there's also things you can do calculated from an emotional standpoint to also win the customer as well. And so it's kind of maybe a balance between the two.
Well, and art has a couple meanings. One, like you said, is the environment, and the vibes from that. But it's also the skillfulness of the salesperson and how they communicate their ideas. The art of selling could be the communication part. Sure. So there's kind of both of those arts.
Both of them are relevant. And so, I mean, just for again, I'd like to give some tactical, very practical examples. So if you own an auto mechanic shop, I mean, some of the art aspects that you could kind of focus on would be just making sure you have a nice place for the customer to come in. Everything's kind of laid out in a logical way. They're greeted. There's trust being built, so that you want them to know, like, and trust you as a business owner. But then the science could be maybe there is a script that the receptionist works through in order to make sure that they're serving the customer fully, maximizing the transactional value and revenue. So it's kind of you're playing on both, building a relationship, loving and serving your customer, but also serving them by also making sure you're offering them the products and services that are going to help them best.
And another way of the art part would be maybe a checklist.
Mm-hmm.
And have I asked all the right questions?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, then you have a better chance of connecting with the person and actually doing the sales.
Sure.
So it's the art in the sense of the skillfulness of the
Mm-hmm.
person. And it doesn't have to be every single thing exactly the same, but did you feel a moment to connect with them and see how they're doing today? Because like I said, if they only have a minute and a half before somebody's picking them up, you don't want to go into, hey, listen, we have some great ideas. I have a list this big of things that could help you.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to turn them off and tick them off. And
right.
So you have to kind of understand where they're coming from.
Sure.
And again, that's the personal art also.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, we've talked about this before, start businesses. They offer an amazing product and service. They're really good at it. They really just want to help people, and a lot of times they open a business because they're solving a problem of their own first, which is a great recipe for a successful business. But when it comes to selling, they feel hesitant, or they don't feel like they have the skills for it, and maybe they even try to avoid it altogether. Well, there's a statement that says that every business owner is a salesperson, whether they want to be or not. So it's not really something you can avoid. Like, you are selling. The moment the customer sees you online or wherever you're doing advertising,
or walks into your building, walks into
you're selling
location.
And so so with that in mind, I think it's important for us to, as small business owners, to structure the sales process to be most effective, since we're sales reps anyways.
And the fun thing to do is to ask people to help you. And so you may say to, it doesn't even have to be a client or a customer. It could be a friend, and say, I want you to go outside and walk in and look at the environment here. What do you see? What stands out? And of course, that's going to be person dependent. Fine. But if there's always that hole in the wall over there, maybe we should do something about that hole in the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that leads to the next question I have for you is, how important is it for you to understand your customer when it comes to selling effectively?
I think it is the number one priority, because sometimes people are kind of in a mode. There was one story, one time I was talking to a plant manager who was in charge of a plant, and I says, well, tell me, I says, I promised 20 minutes. I want to keep that on the clock, but tell me about your business. And he started talking, and he says, we got this great thing and this great thing. And it came to 20 minutes. And so I go, oh no, what do I do now? But I wanted to stick to my word so he could build that trust. So I says, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's been 20 minutes. Now I can stay and listen, but I said 20 minutes. The guy switched like that. All of a sudden, all that anticipation and excitement, it was all a little bit of an act. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. Except that when I would have left, he would have been angry that, we wasted the time. So I made a good decision. Right. And I was able to find out what was really with the guy, what was on his mind, where he was coming from.
Yeah. And it's better for you to understand your customer, that he's not really going to be a customer,
right,
in as little time as possible, as opposed to you being there for a couple hours and then finding out.
There was one customer I had one time, and I go, wow, you know all the benefits. What would change your mind so that you would use our product? And he goes, nothing. There's nothing that would change my mind. That's just the way it's going to be.
So if you can build out like the demographics, psychographics, all the information that you possibly can on who your ideal customer would be ahead of time, doing research, then maybe you could avoid some of those meetings.
Yeah,
because you're qualifying your leads.
But what I did in this case is I didn't spend a lot of time talking.
Or you can do it at the beginning, right at the beginning.
And it turned out really funny. Then the corporate boss said, everybody's going to move to our product. Mm-hmm. So even though there was nothing he could imagine, it turned out there was another factor that changed the whole equation.
Yeah.
And so what I would try to do is, okay, why are you here? What are you trying to look for? What's on your mind? And then they can start saying, either in detail or high level overview, this is kind of what I'm looking for. And so that
Right.
gives them a chance. That helps me focus. I say, wait, we got item 2 and item 7. Which do you think you might want to see?
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it's good to kind of figure out who you want who your ideal customer is, so that you're not trying to be all things to all people.
Or trying to be the wrong thing,
Right.
which the person doesn't care about.
Yeah, it'd be better to just move on from that meeting that you had with that one guy, to find somebody who actually is qualified to purchase the product or be a good fit for it, as opposed to you trying to make
To convert them.
yeah, a round peg fit into a square hole.
Exactly.
Kind of
That's
aspect
right.
there.
And in fact, you can always say, I'll tell you what, let me give you a couple minutes and I'll come back and ask you how it's going.
Yeah.
And that way
Mhm.
they can meander, they can focus, they can figure out what might be a possibility. But I agree with you that there's a lot of subtle things going on here besides the salesperson or the manager coming up and saying, hey, is there anything I can do to help you out?
Mhm.
The environment and all those other things are also really, really important.
Sure. So when it comes to local, I think local small businesses kind of have a different vibe. There's a different strategy they can use when selling. Um, One of them could be making sure the customer kind of understands your origin story. Because I think one of the reasons why I would shop at a local business, if I know the owner, I know their story resonates with my story in some key areas, it would be more likely for me to go out of my way to shop at their store, or be a customer at their business, than maybe one of the national conglomerates that are local. So do you view kind of the business owners sharing their story as being kind of an essential piece in
Yes.
selling?
Yes. And the reason it's important is because we were talking about me understanding the client, the customer coming in, but for them to help a mutual relationship, they need to kind of understand me. And if I can tell them something that's personal about myself, then that's going to give them an opportunity to connect.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and for instance, if the person's wearing a jacket that says "I love Montana," and if I also had been to Montana, I could say, it's funny that you're wearing that. Here's my quick experience. Like 10 seconds. I was out there once. It was great. And so now all of a sudden you have something in common.
Mhm.
And if you can identify something like that, not a long lecture, not a long story, but something that's distilled down, that can help the two people connect and help them feel connected to you. And
Sure.
maybe they'll be more honest and trusting and say, really, is it possible for me to have this item at half price?
Mhm.
And you could say, well, if you buy 4,000 of them, maybe I don't know, whatever's
Right.
appropriate.
Yeah, I think that's a huge advantage, because when you're the manager or the franchise owner of a chain, yeah, you don't have the freedom
That's right.
to kind of personalize your business.
You have the
publicly.
corporate rules, and they're
Yeah.
there for a reason,
Mhm.
but that's different from what you can do on a personal level.
Mhm.
And what you can do on a personal level might make a connection with that customer.
Well, and it's powerful too, because we know,
Right.
I owned a small retail liquidation store, and Bob, my dad, would come and help out, and we would just shoot kind of candid videos advertising the business or the upcoming sales, and people just seemed to connect with us. They'd start to message us via the Facebook Live, but they'd come into the store and say, "Hey, Bob, like we've been friends," or "Hey, Brian, like we've been friends for decades," and we would, I don't know who that person is, but
Yeah,
obviously the rapport that we were able to build, just kind of being real
that's right.
online,
And sharing.
created like kind of the foundation of a relationship,
Right.
that gives us an advantage over the Walmarts and the Dollar Trees and the stores that can't have that personal touch.
And I think part of it was they got to see we were real people and we made mistakes and we goofed up and we laughed at ourselves and things like that. And in fact, there were some examples where people would sit and look forward to it. Line up the kids on the couch. Everybody would sit there and watch your videos.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Well, I still, even like my daughter had some kids over for a slumber party this last weekend, and one of the girls, her and her family would watch our live streams every week, and it was just kind of what they did on Thursday night. During COVID, we'd have online sales, and so they never really bought anything, but they just would always tune in to kind of see what we had for sale. And so whenever I see her, I feel like she has an affinity for me. She wants me to sit by her. She wants me to talk to her. And
a connection, exactly.
And again, that connection was just established because we were just online
sharing
live,
and sometimes being
laughing,
kind of
yeah,
dumb, you know.
yeah, just being real,
Yeah,
and not a whole lot of skill, or you don't need to be a professional communicator to really make an impact and to build that trust,
right,
the know, like, and
right.
trust that you need. That really is going to set you apart from your competitors. Again, I think that's important to know. So even if it's just like, I don't know what kind of small business you run, but if you could just muster up the guts to just go live, or to shoot a short video of yourself, your face, discuss, talking about something, sharing your personal story, or just even talking about things of value for potential customers, that can go a long way.
And especially on the local level, if you say, you know, my family's been here for 2 generations, and you know, my dad used to work over at the real estate company, and you know, I want to keep the connection here, and my business is growing, and I want to invite you to come and see, and you know, see what I have. I mean, it could be something simple like that.
Yeah, that's good. Um, Yeah, so I think, again, some ways that I think you could do that to tell your story. Again, I think a great way to do it would be to shoot a video. I know it's really daunting, but again, that's going to be the key thing that's going to set you apart from your competition, I feel, because most businesses will post on Facebook and Instagram, but it's very kind of generic, and usually it's an image with some text. But if you shot a video, just kind of walking through some day-to-day stuff, even, or telling your background story, or showcasing a product, especially if they know you're local, I think that's huge.
You know, and sometimes it's not so much the product, but it's the philosophy of your company. And you know, and maybe the goal is to have, if you're a construction company, is to have quality products, and make sure whatever's done by you and your team fits the customer needs and also is well done. And so if you can express that to the people you're working with, then they'll understand that's your objective. And that's the, you know, the pizza guy last night that forgot the mushrooms, you know, he actually wanted to know. He was happy I called back. I wasn't unhappy. I was just saying, hey, you know, we asked and they weren't there. And this was important to him. And that to me tells me a lot about his business. And that even makes me more inclined to go back to that place, because, you know, everybody makes mistakes. And he was calling back because he wanted to understand why he made that mistake, which was really good.
Yeah, that's good.
You
Yeah, just
know,
an attentiveness, and I think
right.
big companies do that. Like an Amazon, if you're not happy with your purchase, you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to get your money back. But it'd be going the extra mile as a local small business owner does a lot to build trust.
The challenges were pelted with, you know, reviews and surveys all the time, you know, and
Yeah.
some of them are only a minute, but it's kind of like, oh man, I don't want to do another survey.
Yeah.
So the challenge for the small business is to figure out how you can get some feedback
Mm-hmm.
when the person's there, not take a lot of their time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, rather than trying to be one voice in 50 that want their feedback on some item.
Yeah. So how do you do that? How do you survey the customer and get the data that you need to be able to sell more effectively and market more effectively without overwhelming them? Because I people ask me all the time to fill out surveys with the receipt and stuff, and I just never want to do it. But so what is it? But there's got to be a structured way you can do it. So maybe it's just,
Well, you've talked about
yeah.
some of them already, and you talked, how about when you say put something by the cash register so they
Mhm.
can vote or leave a comment?
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Or even if you have your cash register person ask maybe a couple questions, yeah, and then you rotate those questions.
But they could be questions about marketing things coming up. Like you could say, we're thinking of having um, animal Halloween things. Would that be something that you might be interested in? You know, and that's a quick question, yes or no. Or you could even say, on a scale of 1 to 3, would you find that interesting or boring? I mean, and you can make it really quick.
Yeah.
And maybe just get some more idea. And again, the challenge here is you ask 5 people, you get 5 answers. Does that really represent the group of people that are going to be coming in? Well, maybe not.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a challenge of doing that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think if you get enough ideas and things, you know, they might say, well, I don't know about animals, but if it was little kids, Well, I think that would be a lot more interesting to me. Okay, maybe you should ask that question. Not
Mhm.
animals, but little kids for Halloween costumes. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's such a data and analytics is such a it's an ongoing thing. You just always have to be asking questions, making iterations, and testing things, A/B
That's right.
testing,
Exactly.
trying different things out, and I mean until you figure out what works. But then you're
Right.
still probably always going to continue to ask.
Evolving.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. And you should,
it's important.
because the market's changing too and the people are changing too. And that company over there has a really good idea. And so your idea may not do as well.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of ongoing.
So you were saying your idea was to maybe have something by the register or ask,
Right.
and or have them ask a question, and you could look for you can make it really simple. You could have people walk in and have a question, and they put a red gumball in if they think it's not a good idea, an agreement if they think it is a good idea. And so that'd be something that's just kind of fun, unique, and different.
Mhm.
But you'd start getting votes, and
Yeah.
you could see overall that looks the same. Okay,
Mhm.
well, that's good to know. Or one thing might be better.
Yeah, and we did. So I did. We were thinking about starting a hot sauce company, and so what I did is I ordered a bunch of samples of hot sauce from probably 30 different varieties from a handful of companies, and then I grilled some chicken, and then I laid out all the sauces, and then they'd take a toothpick and they'd eat the chicken. They'd dip the chicken into the sauce and eat it, and then they'd vote with their toothpick. If they liked it, they'd put it in the
Good
yes or the
idea.
no.
Good
And so
idea.
at the end of the night, I had all these votes, kind of crowdsourcing their opinion on it. So you could do something similar to that, or I mean, obviously, probably the kind of the tried and true way of get people to do surveys is to offer them an incentive in exchange for a few minutes of their time. So it could be, scan this QR code or go to this website web address, ask these 5 questions, you get something for free or you get some type of a discount. And if the incentive is good,
Yes,
and if
right.
it's not that
That's
long
right.
of a questionnaire,
Right.
then you can get a pretty high conversion rate. But then you never know, because then it's always like, well, maybe only the people that are have a high likelihood of doing a survey do the survey. Maybe those don't meet the demographic of
Right.
everybody. It doesn't.
Right.
But you never know. You just got trying things.
Maybe it's only the
Yeah.
20-year-olds that do it because
Right.
they have the energy or the interest in something.
They don't
And
do
so
a
you're
QR.
not getting, you don't know whether the 20-year-olds, you don't know about the 50 and the 40-year-olds.
Right.
That may be important also.
I mean, we see big companies do stuff like this all the time. I mean, Amazon will come out with all sorts of products and services, and they came out with the Amazon Fire Phone. That was a flop, but I know that they did a lot of research to get to the point to launch that. So even with all that money spent, what they spent to kind of test the market, it didn't work out. But that's okay, because really you only need a few of them to hit, or maybe even one of them to hit, to really make a big impact on your business. So it's good to try things.
The interesting thing here is we would also like your input, because if you have a local brick and mortar thing that worked out, something you tried and experiment, or it didn't work out, we would be interested in hearing about that also. So if you could communicate, well, one time I thought it'd be a good idea to give a piece of bacon to everybody that answered this question, and it was a total flop. Okay, good to know. This is what didn't work, and that could be something that people could learn. So if you have any ideas and anything that you tried and it looked like it's going to work really well, or it did work really well, we could look at it and talk about the principle, and we'd appreciate that.
Yeah, drop it in the comments section. We'd love to talk about it on the next webinar or live we do. And just so you know, we're starting out here. The topic is sales, but obviously marketing is very much infused in it. The name of the business that we have is Creative Small Business Marketing. You can go to creativesmallbusinessmarketing.com to sign up, to subscribe, and then we'll send you notifications, because we're talking sales today, but it's kind of sales and marketing. Other times we'll get on
Kind of a
lives.
blend,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be a marketing sales blend. It could be a marketing e-commerce blend. There could be a marketing whatever. I mean, there's this kind of, the sky's the limit, but obviously marketing is kind of at the core. So kind of looking forward into the future, my goal is, if it's something that's helpful for you, is to kind of continue to build out just a good sales principles, some good strategies, and some good tactics that you guys can adopt for your businesses, and then we'll kind of build on those over the course of the next few videos. And so by the end of it, you'll have a good kind of marketing sales kind of blend for your unique business.
But part of this is a suggestion book and some ideas you can try. And so things to get you thinking about, you may say, well, I like that idea, but if I tweaked it this way, it might even be better. Good, do that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of maybe like a workbook also.
Yeah. We're here for your feedback. We just want to help you guys out. We know local small business owners. It's a very difficult, running a small business is a very difficult thing to do. And that's why, I'm sure you guys know the statistics that most small businesses don't make it. And so if there's anything that we can do to help you with sales and with marketing, we'd love to help. So just drop a message. Again, stop by creativesmallbusinessmarketing.com to sign up via email. We'd love to connect with you there.
So why did you pick this target group? Why did you decide to go for small businesses like this, brick and mortar?
Well, again, I think I just viewed them as kind of being underserved. Well, I've run a small business. I've been a small business owner for over a decade. But I just know, I know how hard it is. And I also know that even as somebody who's kind of a marketing junkie, like the answers that I needed, the tactics that really specifically fit my business just weren't there. So I just was like, if I can create a channel, a resource for local small businesses, if they can get marketing solutions and tactics and strategies that are tailored to their needs, not big international conglomerate, not somebody.
Well, those will
selling.
probably have all the things, right or wrong. We do this, and this. So they're probably all set anyway.
Right. But when it comes to like a local coffee shop who only does traditional advertising because they don't really know all the other options that are available to them, don't have a big budget to hire a marketing agency to spend thousands of dollars a week to come in and help them with their marketing and their creative and their promotional stuff. I just feel like there isn't a whole lot as far as like DIY is concerned for these kind of businesses. And so that's kind of what I'm creating. Just giving you guys like the strategies and the tactics that you can use to develop your own marketing and sales strategies for your business and deploy on your own. You don't need to hire an expensive marketing firm. You can do a lot of these on your own with the staff you already have in place.
And as Brian said, it can also be a dialogue. So you can try things, run it by us. We can add our 2 cents, and you can see how it evolves.
Yeah, and we'd love to maybe if you're watching this in the future and you want to jump on a live webinar with us, and we can kind of put you and your business on the hot seat. That'd be kind of fun for us as a group to brainstorm some sales and marketing strategies.
Exactly. Right.
Well, again, thanks for watching. We're going to wrap things up. Again, if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section. We'd love to get back to you and start a dialogue there. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching.
I agree. Thanks.
We'll see you next time.